It's really wonderful to see a mountain and to climb it and you put your flat on top of it. It's wonderful to create your own mountain so that you can climb it flat on top of it. You see also that actually love the sea and perhaps swimming is what you really should be doing. And if you're calling the mountain when the part of me to climb the mountain, but if you have question about the sea, you might as well run the experiments and see what happens. Let's mean to involve. And if you're not, involving small incremental changes that will over time to create large change that then you are probably dead. And that shouldn't really be a good on anyone. Like I think every day I get up and I say what am I priorities and then I move toward that and sometimes when I list my priorities or to see how many back to back episodes of whatever I'm watching on Netflix I can watch, if I catch up into a Sunday that I need, in for the best sale in the world Monday morning and sometime that how much on my to-do list I can crank through before lunch and so I tell myself this to-do list or the thing what are in on it also insignificant compared to the things that I have already done or I have already survived or I already accomplished. That's almost laughable that they think they can stand there on my to-do list, you know, that they actually mocking me. And so if you can get to the point where you can say, well, I have already pursued something uncomfortable, I have already done. Đang quay bài. Cho nên là skill to do. So has didn't have confidence to adventures, but yet circumstance intervened, and I will for sure I have already done this thing, and I yeah, the one different contest that you make by the in personal contest are not occurs contest my case they are in the theater and not in the science world, but I have already its proof of concept is already there. So what reason do I have to believe that isn't not going to work again? So not thinking about it is internal new things because you do get a fear response to new things because that's our brain trying to protect us from things that may be dangerous that we don't know anything about and realizing that in practice family test that clock in a new environment and so I think there's a lot of a lot to be safe for looking back at our success and not just appraising them but really recognizing the new challenges in fact that our dragons are already slain a lot of early accomplishment that I have made were because I relied option and there's actually a type method for teaching also use play violin when I was taught with the Suzuki method. And if you look up Suzuki method, you have all these little 4, 5, 6 years old and playing violin concerto that are, far beyond everything somebody of that age should be able to do and it's because nobody told them that they should be able to do and show that. Well, basically my reality, I was told, well, you're 11, you're gonna start going to one class. So I went, and the expectation was you are supposed to get good grades. So I did. Every time this was gone by in front of me, I didn't realize you could not accomplish it. So I just did. We would never really know who we would have been if we had made like one different decision, way back there in our childhood. But because they were brand new and we're more emotionally susceptible to the experiences that we have only in life than we are later in life. We all have to live in a society that's been created for us, and there's, certain expectation that one is a contributing member of the community of humanity that can be accomplished in many different ways. I think if I had a good group of young people, I was responsible for I would try and then listen more maybe by parent to what each of them want. I certainly wouldn't try mentor of them because you can do that, right? But the situation where they can find people to emulate and to look up to and ask question because the worst thing in the world is to happen which would have mind or have question and to not know the right people or have the right resources to get them answer. So the youthful brain is still plastic, still developing as more substantial information in certain ways than in others. I would use story, I would use, but there's a certain amount of finishing that happened in the last few years in the early 20s with the full development of the refactor contest, which not sort of responsible both for those our ability to think logically through and to predict outcome and also maybe a little bit for us to project the negative outcome as well, right? So optimism follow victim to reality, brain are lazy because most of nature is lazy. There has to be a justifiable reason for our necessary purpose, because not using resources that are important for our survival. So if our brains are lazy and they follow the process, that is easier for them to follow. If you have constantly trained your brain and through and reframing that the monster, the optimistic outcome is that what you think, and it's hard to work very hard to think about the negative one. It's unless it's feeling trained in some way, it's going to seem good enough because it's a prediction machine. I predict it's probably what happened, what are going to happen. It will be a positive outcome. They have by me other factors, but energy that I would be spending thinking about those factors doesn't seem in line with that necessary for the importance decision. So that's good enough. Our brain really don't like to be bored. They get very unhappy if they under stimulation, and then that can go to solving the problem in many different ways. Not just how can I how can I solve problem short but how can I ensure that it's not going to a problem in the long run. Emotions was not useful now it's actively disorienting in that I had to build my life entirely logically. Now it's absolutely with a human, so it's possible. We make emotional decisions all the time, but your phone developing brain think that this is something that can be done, and that then you can, always do the right thing, and the right thing is the logical thing, and then as I start to learn about the brain, and as I start to learn about myself, I realized that I didn't have a lot of experience in seeing what would happen. I would just let them and most people experience with this and delusions, but they don't know this very thing. Just this emotion. They just think so how I am, and this is who I am, right? They don't think I'm sorry. I went to New York and I trained, and I went early school with very well known school for modern days. They Especially when you don't dancer, you're treated as if you don't have myself your own, and you're simply a body and the artistic director and the choreographer or the teachings giving you turkey for Thanksgiving because then you fall asleep because your child friend would be to have to, but I digress. All I have for women is they stop worrying about whether or they not fitting in whether and not supposed to be emulating the man or making a point of being female, and they start just taking things, taking the power, taking their place at the table and not asking permission for it. And we have all this surprising movement that have to do that. They have had to take their so many classes is in academia, the Asian average that is they stay there to be broken. But I think for the masses thing was always trying to get women to STEM now, and women coding is always I think of this I like. I hope this isn't offensive. Last time in the bitch at no money, like we just put enough women into the pipeline, and the fact that when I think that for the masses, it can be very difficult to be at your best when you're constantly looking over your shoulder and wondering if being you is enough.